अभी डाउनलोड करें।
Welcome to News9 Live, and you are watching On Point with me, and in this edition we will talk about the redeployment of Assam Rifles from Manipur into Jammu and Kashmir. The Kuki groups have opposed the redeployment and argued that their presence is necessary to maintain law and order in the state. Apex body of Kukis, Kuki, INP and various other Kuki organizations submitted a memorandum to the Prime Minister and Home Minister urging them to rethink the proposal. 10 Kuki MLAs also requested the MHA to reconsider the decision. Kuki groups have also carried out several protests in the last week against the replacement of Assam Rifles by the CRPF in the region. The Kuki-Zo community has emphasized that Assam Rifles' presence is vital for maintaining peace in the region given its history of ethnic tension. They have also warned that they will intensify their protests if the government moves forward with the removal of AR. Meitei groups, on the other hand, have been demanding the removal of Assam Rifles from Manipur, as they allege that Assam Rifles are partial to the Kukis and have also accused the paramilitary force of misconduct. The Kuki Students Organization held a press conference in Delhi regarding the redeployment of Assam Rifles. They expressed their concern about the removal of AR from the buffer zones in Manipur.
So you are saying that Assam Rifles, which was deployed there, and between the buffer zone, in the buffer zone, buffer zone, and you don't want them to be replaced with CRPF.
Yeah.
What is it exactly?
Because we don't analyze or we don't think much about who replace CRPF, BSF. We don't think much about who replace. We think more on not to remove, not to withdraw at all. We don't think about CRPF or BSF. If in case out of non-negotiability, Assam Rifles are removed, then it has to be replaced by pure Indian army, like Bihar regiment or other regiments, not CRPF or BSF. But I don't want to say anything about CRPF or BSF. Why I don't want to?
But anybody who is listening to you will want to know, why are you not wanting CRPF to be there and only the forces to be there? Why is it so?
If you ask me, they are
Because they are also security force.
Yes, they are security force, no doubt. They are Central Armed Police Forces. They are under the control of the center. That means they are under the control of the Home Minister of the state. They can be influenced by the state. The ongoing state-sponsored ethno-religious pogrom is what committed by the state government. So, if CRPF are deployed there, there is a huge chance where the state can deploy them for their advantage, so that the buffer zones can be destroyed easily. If you ask me, let me say this. In the 90s, there was a saying among the Meiteis that CRPFs are women force. That's how the Meitei people undermine the CRPFs. It's not that we undermine them. It's them who undermine them. Now, if you deploy them in the buffer zones, the Arambai Tengors, because they undermine them, they will just attack them. So if attack comes, liability force both on both sides, right? Arambai Tengors, CRPFs, and the other side, the Kukis. So it's vulnerable if the CRPFs are deployed there. So to prevent further violence, we have to resist other forces being trying to amend these buffer zones. So Assam Rifles will be the best suited force to mend these buffer zones.
Put the central security forces as it is, particularly the Assam Rifles and other neutral forces like Bihar, Gorkha regiments who are maintaining the buffer zone and maintaining peace in these areas which are encircling the Imphal Valley. So that has to be maintained. They have to be stay put under, a lasting peace is achieved. For instance, I have talked about, in order to arrive peace in Manipur, there has to be a kind of a political solution, which I have maintained for the last 1 year, more than 1 year. There should be a talk, whether it be the civil society organizations or with the SOO groups, who are in talks continuously for the last many years with the central government, and arrive at a political solution, right? I said, unless there is a kind of a mechanism where the minorities, right, the people who are persecuted, the persecuted Kukis are given certain mechanism, constitutional mechanism to protect themselves.
Once the Assam Rifles gone, the Meitei's push to remove Assam Rifle is about control. They want a force that they can manipulate, not one that stands for peace and impartiality. The proposal of removal is a calculated move by those who want to manipulate the buffer zones for their own benefit. In Manipur, Meitei atrocities had begun decades ago when the valley-based insurgents infiltrated and forcefully lived in our lands, slaving our villagers as porters and beating up our village chiefs who tried to stop them. It was then when the Assam Rifles spearheaded the operation called All Clear and cleansed them off from the Indian soil. That's when they had started their series of attacks on Indian army, martyrizing them across Manipur. And we have seen in the medias how the army officers have been, ambushed and killed.
So now I'm joined by Ijang Misao, social activist from Manipur, and I'm also being joined by Group Captain B. Nandkumar Sharma, and I'll also be joined by Lieutenant General Shaukin Chauhan. He's not with me now, but straight away I'll go to Mr. Misao. A sort of a big press conference was held, Mr. Misao, in Delhi, a big one, but then it's a fait accompli, sir. It's happening anyhow.
Yes, Kartiki, I think the Kuki Student Organization concerning about the safety and the kind of calmness that prevails now in Manipur is also concerned about the further escalation of violence, for which they were saying Assam Rifle is the right force which needs to main the buffer zone. Now I'm going to tell you why is the Meitei so strong in demanding for the removal of Assam Rifle. It has some history, because Assam Rifle, they clearly state they act without fear and favor. And this force is one of the renowned forces, track records in its counterinsurgency. And they always act without fear and favor, for which this force cannot be manipulated. This force cannot be just directed by some vested interest. And you have seen in most of the visual where the state use its forces, its armory, where the Assam Rifle stood strong, saying that you cannot use all these state forces against a particular community. You need to be neutral. For doing that, I think the Assam and the Meiteis are not happy with that at all. At the same time, the Assam Rifles are the one who invited the Editor Gear of India to make a fact report from the ground, for which the Editor Gear of India make a fact report saying that there is bias in the state media, by the way, how they are reporting the facts from the ground. And I would tell you, if this Assam Rifle is replaced, I think it is going to be a tactical blunder, which leads to compromising the internal security, because Assam Rifle is not dealing with the present conflicts. What is concerning is also the
other guests. Okay, you made the point. Misao, you made the point.
Yeah.
Bijesh, it's a done deal. I mean to say, is there any relevance of any sort of a public demonstration and protest when this is happening? The deployment is taking place.
The deployment is taking place. It's a done deal, but it can't stop people from voicing their protest, and that is exactly what the Kuki community is doing. I think this particular decision which has been taken by MHA puts a big question mark on the credibility of Assam Rifles, especially those two battalions. And I am personally of the opinion that, like Caesar's wife should be above suspicion. If those two battalions were under some sort of suspicion, did the MHA or any other, branch of MHA took action against them? Were there, because it needs to be investigated that was there enough merit in the allegations which were leveled by Meitei groups that these two battalions were involved in deals which were not in consonance with national security? And if it was, why hasn't the action been taken instead of them being redeployed? And if there wasn't none, then the bigger question arises, was the redeployment done under political pressure? Both questions are very important questions and need to be answered.
Okay, let me go across to Lieutenant General Shokin Chauhan, sir. Thank you so much for joining me. Now, the redeployment is taking place. It's a public knowledge, and protest and press conferences are being held simultaneously. Why is there so much of anxiety in the Kuki community about the redeployment of a force, which is well within the right of the Government of India to transfer them every 3 years?
Firstly, good evening, Karthik. Nice to thank you for calling me on your show. See, it's difficult to explain why it is important that a force that is already in the operations should never be moved out. The reason is the force has by now gained intelligence, has gained terrain intelligence, has gained people intelligence, has gained an idea of what is happening, and is actually fairly effective. Sometimes, Karthik, the complaints by the Meiteis were only to prove that the Assam Rifles was doing a wonderful job. It was doing it without fear, without being manipulated by the local populace, and it was not allowing a problem by either of the communities to fight with each other. And both of them had done a marvelous job. So, by nature, as a field commander, I would never like to replace my troops while they are in combat. I agree that it is the field commanders can take, or the government can decide to move a force anytime they want. Maybe they find that these Assam Rifles units have done such a fantastic job in the northeast that they're needed in a more sensitive area in Kashmir. Maybe that is the case. But the more important part is that during operations and while they are in contact with this very difficult situation, you move the force, which gives an absolutely wrong idea unless the government really explains as to why are you moving them. Exactly. Other than maybe they are required more in Kashmir and not required here so much. The second issue is that over the years, we are aware that while dealing with people, the Assam Rifles has been impartial. There is no question of partiality because the Assam Rifles is officered by the officers of the Indian Army who are known for over the last 75, 76 years for their impartiality in these very difficult counterinsurgency operations. And to then move them around and to show them is something that, that actually doesn't make sense.
Is it demoralizing?
To the troops, I actually spoke to the officers in the field. They've taken it well. They've said, sir, we've done our job. We're doing it the best we can, and we'll continue to doing our job. And like I said, if the government wants us in Kashmir, we are very happy going and doing the best we can for the government. But what was demoralizing for them was the way they were being checked and not allowed to move by the local militia or the local Bira Paibis, and that they were holding their hand, preventing them from moving anywhere. And that was creating a really difficult situation for soldiers. That you are being stopped by a group of women and they're not letting you pass. They're not letting them go to the hospital. They're not letting the rations come to them.
That was demoralizing, because that they felt that all our sacrifices we have not been able to convince the Meitei community that, look, we have been here to look after you. Just recently, a couple of months back, there was the floods in Imphal. And it was the Assam Rifles that helped out the Meitei community. Even that did not convince the Meiteis that here is a force which will stand by you during difficulty, which has stood by you over the last 188 years and will continue to stand by you. I seriously, and I have commanded one corps, I have commanded 8th Mountain Division, the elite of the elite formations of the Indian Army. And then I came to the Assam Rifles. I found the Assam Rifles as good as any Indian Army unit. And I've commanded one corps with the best forces. So I feel that maybe the government has done this under pressure of a community. It should never have been done, because it has also never been done. No force has ever been moved out under any kind of pressure. We have seen the difficulties in Kashmir, as you're aware. We've fought in every place.
You made one very important point. Despite the best efforts, they have not been able to win the faith, Vishwas, of the Meitei community. Mr. Sharma, why? Why is this distrust?
Yes, Kartik. With due respect to the General, I have a few points to talk about why Meitei is not trusting the Assam Rifles. Of course, all the Assam Rifle units are not complained by the Meitei community. They have done wonderful jobs, and it's few of the units. And if you go back to the history, before independence, we have the history of conflicting with the Manipuri Meitei and the Assam Rifle Jawans in 1904 and 1939. I don't have to explain once again because many people know it and I have called many times. And after that, we also have around 2003 or 4 Manorama episode who was gang raped by the Assam Rifle Jawans. Very unfortunate incident. Of course, all the Assam Rifles are not blamable for that, and the Meitei society never put a blame of such a heinous incident. And against that gang rape, Meitei have just demonstrated without clothes in front of the Assam Rifle while it was in Kangla. So this is some background, and also presently why Assam Rifles and the security forces, especially Assam Rifles, are not trusted by the Meitei is the infamous Sugnu police station incident is there, and also the 3 buses which were towed in Kangpokpi, who brought the security forces, CRPF, they were deboarded, and the buses belonged to Meitei. It was burned down. So these are some of the incidents which created a problem or lack of trust within the Assam Rifle district. Otherwise, they have been doing wonderful, and I do agree with the General. And we have seen they have earned a lot of accolades in the J&K area, and they have been doing wonderfully. And also, I would not like this shifting in terms of internal security problem. I would like to look as a Indian security as a whole as of now. After the coup in Bangladesh, we are surrounded at 3 sectors. The western sector, the Arunachal by China, now in the Bangladesh, which Sheikh Hasina has pronounced that it is the CIA who has instigated this coup along with the ISI. And now we have opened up a new front. And the General will be aware more than me that how many Kuki Jawans are there in the Assam Rifles. So before pre-independence, we know the mutiny by the Indian armed forces, including Army, Air Force, and Navy. It was the strength of the Jawans of the Indian origin. Because of fear of this Jawan strength, the British left. This is known to most of the armed force officers. So similarly, center would have taken. This is a critical juncture why US is trying to form a Christian state in the northeast. So if we put the Kuki majority, I'm not very sure. It's assumption. Some people say that is 60% of the Jawans are Kuki. If we keep the Kukis, the dominated forces, some such sort of mutiny happens, then it is very easy to break the Manipur, Mizoram, and the northeast part of the India.
Okay.
And
today's conversation is about redeployment. Misao, to you.
I think it's better not to speak on speculation. We must speak on facts.
Facts. That's why I said, man, let's not go there. Let's not go there.
Yeah.
It's about
So the same way.
it's about
the same
two
way,
communities and anxiety over it.
Yeah, I mean, the same way the Kukis are also having the anxiety, saying that the state forces are easily manipulated by the state government, who can be used. I mean, who were already used against us. So the same way we want the Assam Rifle because they cannot be easily manipulated. And what we also demanded is like, I mean, if you look at the More, the entire police commando is from the Valley people, and Kuki have been demanding the removal of these state forces, police commando, so that peace comes back in that area. And why is the voice of the Kukis not heard? And why is the voice of only the Meiteis matters and the voice of the Kukis doesn't matter? So for good sake, if Assam Rifle can be removed because it was demanded by the Meitei community, the same way it has to be done to the demands of the Kuki community. And that way, I think we could see like there's no partiality from the part of the Home Ministry, and we could see that the government is being impartial in the way how they are also doing all this deployment or redeployment. And I would also once again reiterate, if Assam Rifle needs to be withdrawn, why don't you bring in the army? That's what we demand. We are not against any decision of the government, because that could be some tactical move which is required in the area.
I have a
What
question.
we demanded is
I have a question,
not
Misau, to you.
CRPF.
I have a question. You know, Manipur commandos, it's a state police, but their remit is within the state. I mean, so you can't, it cannot be argued that the Manipur police should not be operating in every part of the Manipur. It's a state police. They have the remit in the state.
No, the same way, like Nanda Kumar was saying, like the 40 to 7, like how many percentage of the Assam Rifle could be the Kukis ones. On that anxiety, they were also demanding such things. So imagine, Kartik, just try to be in my shoe. I mean, you have seen a clear visual where the state forces are part of the mobs who are burning down our houses. And those forces, we are not against the state forces, but a forces which is comprised of only that population with whom we are in conflict.
ठीक है. General Chauhan, you know, when you were there, was this sort of polarization visible to you?
Not at all. Absolutely not at all. I remember meeting Chief Minister Biren many times, discussing many issues. We have 9 sector, we have IGR South in the valley. There was never ever, and I can put my hand on my heart and say that there was never ever a single person, a Meitei or Kuki or anybody, who said that they found that the Assam Rifles was was partial to anybody or to any community. I must put Dr. Nanda Kumar's fears at rest. We are an all India, all caste force, and absolutely there is no question that there is any kind of percentage very high or even minusculely high percentage for one community. It just doesn't exist. So he can put his mind to rest. No unit would have any kind of high level of any tribal community in its within its ranks. So there's nothing like it. It's all India, all caste, commanded by army officers who have absolutely no bias towards anybody. It's a wonderful force. But as I said, I've been a field commander. I've been a commander here in Kashmir, in J&K many times. We are committed to looking after the people of India. We have shed our blood for the people of India, and same the Assam Rifles has shed its blood for the people of the Northeast. That's how we call ourselves the friends of the hill people. So this is very disheartening to me as a retired soldier. But as far as the officers are concerned, they said, sir, maybe we're required to deal with a more difficult situation in Kashmir and therefore be being sent there. And I assure you that, Kartik, these 2 units do a fabulous job in Poonch. Rajouri, where they will be given.
I think we need to go back to Mr. Sharma. Mr. Sharma, I think General Chauhan had some very important points.
Yeah, it's a very good, due respect once again. I fully agree with him. Officers of the Indian Army are leading the Assam Rifles, so there is no doubt about the officers leading the this Assam Rifles. However, the concern about the Meitei is about the Jawans, not about the officers, because officers also rotate regularly, so they will not have any attachment, and they have the highest discipline and decorum in the armed forces, as I have served, I know, and I have many friends, including in Assam Rifles. So I have no doubt about the officers. However, the concern are about the Jawans, which have been there as stagnant, because I think, I am not sure, but the people say they are not rotated, they are not posted regularly. They are in the Manipur since its formation or since they joined, which if it is correct, it will be a problem, because even in Air Force, which is a state which we move every 4 to 5 years, if a person is there, unit doesn't move in Air Force, the people move. So if a person is there for more than 10 years, some local problem starts up, or including a small corruption and misappropriation sort of thing. So this sort of the thing will happen. And if the forces, especially the Jawans, if they stay in a place for a long time, there will be many problems. That was the concern of the people, and that has been addressed. And it's a good step, as I said, and they will do wonders, as General has said, and their capability is not doubting by anybody, and they will do wonders in any operational areas, because the leadership of the army officers are at paramount in India, as even comparing in the armed forces of all over the world, the Indian Air Force, Indian armed forces are at the top.
Let me play out the bite of Mr. Haukip again. He comes on my show because today he went for the press conference. Let me play out his bite once more.
Put the central security forces as it is, particularly the Assam Rifles and other neutral forces like Bihar, Gorkha regiments, which are encircling the Imphal Valley. So that has to be maintained. They have to be stay put under, a lasting peace is achieved. For instance, I have talked about, in order to arrive peace in Manipur, there has to be a kind of a political solution, which I have maintained for the last 1 year, more than 1 year. There should be a talk, whether it be the civil society organizations or with the SOO groups, who are in talks continuously for the last many years with the central government, and arrive at a political solution, right? I've said, unless there is a kind of a mechanism where the minorities, right, the people who are persecuted, the persecuted Kukis are given certain mechanism, constitutional mechanism to protect themselves.
Hey, careful, huh? My daddy got it from abroad. Hey, disaster! How will you pay for the loss now?
In stock market, you should take risk as per your capacity and knowledge. Trade in options very carefully.